वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नमोऽस्तुते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः। We'll spend a couple of minutes chanting Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. You please repeat. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Alright, so we are seeing this wonderful itihasa, this wonderful epic called the Mahabharata. And Bhagavan Vedavyasa Ji, who is the author of this Mahabharata, has written, and we chanted the verse while we were singing, that there's nothing that exists in the world that is not in the Mahabharata. And if it is not in the Mahabharata, it means it doesn't exist in the world. There is nothing that the Mahabharata does not cover. Now you know, when you take an orange or a lemon and you squeeze it, what comes out? Not a trick question. Actually, when you squeeze it, whatever comes out is what is inside. Is it not? If you squeeze an orange, you will get orange juice. If you squeeze a lemon, you will get lemon juice. Well, what is inside us? In our mind, there are positive thoughts and there are negative thoughts. Is it not? Positive and negative is in every single person's mind. And so, if negative and positive are in us and we are squeezed, what is going to come out? Well, whatever is inside is going to come out. Lemonade is not going to come out of us, right? Positive and negative will come out of us as well. And so, whatever expresses out in the world is nothing more than what expresses in our own mind, but just in a visible form. And so, if there is a war between positive and negative going on in our mind all the time, well, there will eventually have to be a war outside also between positive and negative. Is that not logical? So, this Mahabharata, at the same time that it is a historical event where a great war happens between two sets of cousins, it is nothing but a reflection of what is going on in our own minds. It is an external expression of an inner conflict of a human being. Now, this Mahabharata is 100,000 verses long. It is the largest conceivable body of literature that exists in the world that we have today. It is so big that it is impossible for one person to completely and deeply study the entire thing. Bhagavad Gita, which is 700 verses, comes in the middle of this Mahabharata. And you can spend your whole life and never finish studying Bhagavad Gita. So imagine how much more to understand and study the Mahabharata. So over these 14 days, we are seeing the main storyline of this Mahabharata and a few of the life lessons that we can take from it. Where we have reached in the story. I'll tell you the main characters that are currently involved in the story. There are 5 good guys called the Pandavas. Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadev. And on the other side, you have 100, oh, and then their wife is called Draupadi. On the other side, you have 100 bad guys, negative people, people following adharma. These guys are called the Kauravas. They're brothers, 100 brothers and one sister. And they are at odds with each other. The Kauravas hate the Pandavas because the Pandavas are prosperous, because they are dharmic, and the Kauravas do whatever it is they can to try to kill, defeat, cause trouble to these Pandavas. And so what has happened now is that in a game of dice, by cheating, they usurped the kingdom of the Pandavas. These Kauravas, the bad guys, usurped the kingdom of the Pandavas, and they have sent them into the forest for 13 years of exile. The condition of this exile is 12 years will be normal. They can live wherever they want, however they want. But the 13th year of this exile, they have to live incognito. Incognito means they cannot be discovered by anybody. They have to hide their identity. And if in this 1 year they are discovered, then the 12-year clock resets and they have to go back and start that 12 years all over again. So this is the condition, and the Pandavas are now in the forest. We have reached, we are now in the 11th year of their exile. That's how much time has passed. And so we're going to see so many things happen as they're in the forest, the Pandavas, spending their years of exile. One other thing to know about the Mahabharata is that no character except for Bhagavan Sri Krishna is perfect. And so when we study and we listen to the Mahabharata, we're not supposed to ask, why did this person do this? Why did this person do that? We are supposed to rather think, how did they deal with the actions that they did? Having met a situation and dealt with it in a certain way, how did they handle it after that? How did Draupadi handle her situation with grace, and how did she handle it with intelligence and strength and surrender? How did Yudhishthira, having made a mistake, atone for it with grace? This is what distinguishes the positive from the negative. It's really how we face the situations that we meet in life. Every single one of us will make mistakes. Every single one of us has made mistakes, we continue to make mistakes, and we will make mistakes forever. As long as we are alive, we will make mistakes. It's not so much about whether or not we will make mistakes, but how we are going to accept the consequences of the mistakes we make. Are we going to justify them? Are we going to gracefully accept them? That is what the Mahabharata teaches us. How to deal with the consequences of the actions that we have done. Okay, so now in the forest, over the past 11 years, the Pandavas, I hope the names are sounding more familiar now, right? The Pandavas in the forest now spend their time doing tapas. They spend their time doing austerity, severe austerity. And they're trying to become stronger. Because remember, they are dharmic. But not everyone in this world is dharmic. In fact, is there more dharma or more adharma in the world? Are you more likely to meet someone who's following dharma or following adharma? It is more likely that we are going to meet people following adharma. So even though we are dharmic, it doesn't mean that we have to live in an idealistic world thinking, well, everybody will be dharmic with me too. The reality of the situation is we're going to meet adharma in life. So how do you fight adharma? Not by being naive and thinking, everything will work out because I'm good. No, you have to be serious. Our Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda says, active resistance to evil is the answer. So it takes great preparation to fight and face adharma. So in these years when the Pandavas are in exile, they're spending their time becoming stronger, doing tapas, becoming more prepared so that when they go back and they have to fight this adharma, they are more equipped and they're more likely to win. So this is how they have been passing their time. Now let's switch back to the palace where Duryodhana, the leader of the Kauravas, is, and let's see what he is doing and what he has been busy with these 11 years. His whole objective was he had extreme jealousy, and that is what led to this whole problem. His jealousy and his hatred for the Pandavas is what created this whole problem. Since he was young, he had jealousy in his heart, right? And so one day he goes to the Pandavas in the forest on the pretext of inspecting the cows of the kingdom. And in the process of trying to show off his luxury, he ends up getting captured and being extremely humiliated. And in fact, it is by the grace of Yudhishthira and the Pandavas that he is freed and released and let go. And Yudhishthira says, I wish you well. And he set Duryodhana free. Imagine somebody who has gone there to humiliate you and to laugh at you and to mock you. And it turns around and it comes to him. Well, he is so humiliated. He is so embarrassed. He decides that he just wants to commit suicide. He cannot live anymore. He is going to fast to death. He cannot show his face to anybody. And he tells his younger brother Dushasan, you please go and you become king and you take care of the kingdom. I am not coming back. This is too humiliating. I just want the ground to open. I want to disappear. So this is how Duryodhana feels. And his friend Karna tells him, no, what are you saying, And his wicked Mamu, Shakuni, says, no, what are you saying? And Duryodhana goes to sleep and he wakes up the next morning and he is ready to be his normal self again. And this is a really interesting thing about life, that in the presence of evil company, no good thought is actually allowed to persist in our mind. Have you noticed that? In the presence of bad people, our good thoughts just seem to fade away. Now you tell me, you may not have evil friends. You might have good friends. But our friends are no more just the physical people we interact with. Do you not have friendship with your phone? Is your phone not your best friend sometimes? And on your phone, you have Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. They're all our friends, meaning they're our company. They're who we spend time with. Are they good influence or negative influence? True story, Netflix or YouTube, one of them, they had a board meeting. And in that board meeting, they were discussing their competitors. And they were discussing how to get more screen time from the people who are watching whatever it is, right? And they came to the conclusion that one of their competitors is sleep. And now at a boardroom, they're discussing how to compete with human beings' sleep. They're your friend? So, we don't even know the company that we keep. But the company that we are in, if it is not good company, it does not allow positive thoughts to survive very long. And so, it is important for us to ask what kind of company we keep. Because every time Duryodhana would get a little good thought, his negative gang would just smash it away. Anyways, so Duryodhana tried this and it failed. But he doesn't get it. He doesn't realize you cannot harm the Pandavas. And so one day what happens is, there's this Rishi called Durvasa Rishi. Do you know who Durvasa Rishi is? Durvasa Rishi is a very interesting character. He has the shortest temper you can ever find. If he comes to you and he wants something and you do not give it to him in the exact way he wants, he will curse you. A big curse, because he is very powerful. And he's very unpredictable. Like, he could tell you to cook food. Oh, he comes with thousands of his disciples whenever he comes. And he could tell you to cook food for him, and then 10 minutes, you've made all preparations for thousands of people, and 20 minutes later, he's like, actually, I changed my mind. We don't want to eat. And then suddenly, in the middle of the night, he could wake up and say, we want food right now. So you don't know what to expect with him. He's very unpredictable, and what comes out of him is dangerous. So this Durvasa Rishi had gone to Duryodhana, and Duryodhana knows how Durvasa Rishi is. And he takes such good care of Durvasa Rishi. Durvasa Rishi is pleased and he says, Duryodhana, ask me for a boon. And Duryodhana was taking care of him because he wanted to ask for a boon. Now, if you have a rishi offering you a boon, what will you ask for? You know what Duryodhana says? I want you to go to the forest, and you know my dear brother Yudhishthira? I want you to go and spend time with them and bless them too. He knows they're in the forest, they don't have food, they don't have access to things of the palace to take care of this Durvasa Rishi. So his intention is that Durvasa Rishi should go there, and it should be at such a time where they're not able to take care of him, and then he curses them. So this boon that he gets, he uses it as an opportunity for his cousins to be cursed. See wickedness? That's like the man who, a genie comes to him, and the genie says, well, I am a genie in training still. So my problem is whatever you wish for, I can give you one wish. But whatever you wish for, your neighbor will get double. Well, who wants that? So he thinks for a moment and he says, okay, I want you to take one of my eyes away. Make me blind in one eye. Why? Well, that's the only way my neighbor will be lesser than me. You see wickedness? This is what Duryodhana had. And so he tells Durvasa Rishi, I want you to go and bless them, but go at a time when they have all eaten, and Draupadi has also eaten, so she's relaxed and she can spend time with you too. Draupadi and the Pandavas had a special pot, a copper pot. It was called the Akshaya Patra. And it was such that it was given to them by Surya Devata for their time in the exile. Every day it would be filled with food, and it would give an inexhaustible amount of food until Draupadi would eat and wash the pot. And after that, there's no more food until the next day. And so Durvasa Rishi reaches when Draupadi has finished eating, and he shows up and he's like, okay, we're going to go take a bath and, do our prayers in the river. And when we come back, we're going to come and we're going to eat. Not one person, thousands of people. They're in the forest. They're living like sannyasis. They don't have anything. And so Draupadi, she prays to Bhagavan Krishna. Actually, the verses that we chanted, they're Draupadi's prayer to Bhagavan Krishna. She prays to Bhagavan Krishna and she says, you are the only one who can save me. You're the only one who can help me. And in an instant, Bhagavan Krishna shows up there to help her. And Bhagavan Krishna, he's so mischievous and he's so funny. Look what he says. He says, Draupadi, I was just about to eat my food. I am so hungry. Now you bring me some food. And she said, Krishna, what is this? I called you here to ask you for help to get food for this Durvasa Rishi, and you're coming and asking me for food? And he said, no, you feed me first. And so he says, bring that Akshaya Patra of yours. She said, no, but I ate already and I washed it. And he said, no, just bring it in case there's something in there still. She said, no, but I washed it. You think I don't know how to wash? Or what? And she's getting frustrated with this Bhagavan Krishna. And Bhagavan Krishna said, you bring that pot. So finally she goes and she brings this Akshaya Patra. And Bhagavan Krishna inspects it. And he finds a tiny little leaf. Like a seasoning, little tiny seasoning leaf stuck on the corner of the inside of the pot. And he's like, you see, you didn't wash it properly. And he takes this little leaf and he eats it. And when he eats it, he says, may the entire universe be satisfied. And when he eats it, all of the disciples of Durvasa Rishi and Durvasa Rishi in the river suddenly feel full, like magically. And now they think, well, if we go back, the Pandavas are preparing food for us. Their tapas is very strong. This Durvasa Rishi, who everybody fears, is now scared of showing his face to the Pandavas. And so he's like, quickly, let's run away from here. And he takes his disciples and they run away from there because Bhagavan Krishna satisfied them. It is very interesting. Durvasa Rishi symbolizes, Durvasa literally means negative, where our negativities reside. Meaning, all of our negative vasanas, all of the difficult thoughts that live in our mind, that are difficult for us to live with, our jealousy, our greed, our desire, is it not difficult to live with these thoughts? Do they not come and bring sorrow to our life? But they still exist. They're still divine. And so these come in, do they come 1, 2, 3, or do they come in thousands? They come in thousands. That is the symbolism. Durvasa comes with thousands of his disciples. And they are very unpredictable. No matter how much we take care of them, they can flare up and ask for anything at any time and cause havoc in our life. You can give so much and they don't want it. And on the other hand, you have Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And you give him, he says, you give me 1 leaf, 1 flower, and I'm content. He didn't even get 1 leaf. He got 1 little, big, tiny little scrap of a leaf in that pot. And with that, not only he was satisfied, but the entire universe was satisfied. When Bhagavan is satisfied, everybody is satisfied, including me. Now you think, if you have an opportunity to spend your time to satisfy your emotions, which are unpredictable, versus satisfying Bhagavan, who's satisfied with very little and only sees our intention, what should we spend our time doing? But what do we spend our time doing? Interesting, isn't it? So this is the symbolism. You see how the Pandavas dealt with it? They turned to Bhagavan Krishna for help. Once they satisfied him, well, everyone, including me, gets satisfied. And this is how the Pandavas were getting over obstacles, one by one by one. Okay, now one day, so many things happened, right? I'm going to skip some of the stories because we will never finish otherwise. I'm going to tell you some of the really key ones that contribute to the war. So one day, there's just about 1 year left before they have to go into their incognito, right? They're in their 12th year. And at this time, one day all the brothers have gone out and Draupadi is alone at home with the people who are taking care of her. And then as she's in the ashram, her brother-in-law shows up. Her brother-in-law, meaning the husband of Dushala, the one sister of the wicked Kauravas. He shows up. And she welcomes him, brother-in-law, how can I... She speaks nicely to him and she says the Pandavas are out, they'll be back shortly and all. But Draupadi is so beautiful that he looks at her with an eye of desire. And she says, what is wrong with you? You are my brother-in-law. Don't even think about me like that. And this is the second time now this is happening to Draupadi, where she's being looked at with an eye by someone who should not be looking at her like this in the family. And so he ends up kidnapping Draupadi and taking her in his chariot. But Yudhishthira gets a sense that something is off and they turn back and they release her. And now they are about, Bhima, who is one of her husbands, he's very, very, very angry, and he's about to kill this Jayadratha. And Yudhishthira says, no, but he's our brother-in-law, he's our sister's husband. It is not right to kill him. See how noble, how dharmic Yudhishthira was. But Bhima is so angry, he can't not do anything. So he humiliates Jayadratha and he gives him this weird haircut to show that, he humiliates him by giving him this really crazy, maybe today it would be called in style. Some crazy haircut he gives him, he's like, go. He embarrasses, humiliates and sends him off. Jayadratha is so humiliated. All these wicked people, their ego is very big. So it gets hurt very quickly. Jayadratha goes and does tapas now for Bhagavan Shiva. And he prays to Bhagavan Shiva. And anybody who does tapas, whatever action you do, the result has to come. He does tapas and Bhagavan Shiva appears before him. And he says to Bhagavan Shiva, I want a boon by which I can defeat all of the Pandavas. And Bhagavan Shiva looks at him and says, are you crazy? That's not possible. So ask for something else. And so Bhagavan Shiva actually says, you know what? I can't give you that boon. But what I can say is, if by chance one day you meet the Pandavas without Bhagavan Krishna and Arjuna, For one day, at that time, without Krishna and Arjuna, you will be able to defeat them. So Jayadratha has no choice, he has to accept that. So he takes that boon. You remember it because it is going to be very important when we get to the war. Anyways, at this time, Yudhishthira feels so bad about how Draupadi is going through trouble again and again and again. And he asks one of the rishis in the forest, why is this happening? And that rishi consoles him by telling him what happened to Sita. He consoles him by telling him Ramayana. And really, the answer, the indication there is that the true solution to our sorrows is found in satsang. And so this is how they spent their time. Following dharma is not easy. They show this over and over again. But where there is dharma, there is victory. And so you hold on to dharma knowing victory is coming. This is what they did. Now one day, coming to the end of their 12 years, one day a brahmana had come to them. And the brahmana said that a deer has come and stolen my arani, the thing that they use to light a fire for all of their puja and havan and everything. And so 5 Pandavas, 5 powerful warriors, cannot find the deer that stole their arani. And so they start to feel really bad and they think maybe we couldn't help this brahmana because we've done terrible things. Yudhishthira says maybe because of the game of dice and how I played it, I don't have the power. And then Bhima said maybe I didn't kill that wicked Dushasana right away. And they're all trying to justify how is it that this deer could have gotten away from them. At this time, they're sitting and they all happen to become very thirsty. And so Yudhishthira sends his youngest brother, Sahadev, to go and find some water for them and bring water back. And so he goes and he sees a lake. And as he's about to get water from the lake, he hears a voice. There is a yaksha, some kind of celestial being that has taken the form of a crane and is saying to him, this lake belongs to me. You cannot drink water from here unless you answer my questions. And he ignores it and he drinks water. And he actually becomes lifeless. He loses his life. So Yudhishthira is wondering, well, where is this brother of mine? Why hasn't he come back? And so he sends Nakula to go find him. Nakula reaches the lake and he is also very, very thirsty. And he hears the same message and he ignores it and he drinks the water and he also loses his life. This happens with Arjuna. Arjuna says, how dare you challenge me? And Arjuna tries to use his arrows and all. And he drinks water and he also loses his life. Bhima, the same thing happens to Bhima. And so now Yudhishthira thinks, well, what is going on? And one by one, my brothers have all disappeared. So he now goes to look for them. And he reaches the lake and he sees his 4 brothers lying there, lifeless. And he thinks, who would have the power to defeat my powerful brothers? Something is going wrong. And then he hears the same message. And he asks this yaksha, who are you? I will not drink the water. It's yours. I will answer your questions, but you tell me who are you? And the yaksha said, first you answer my questions and then I will tell you who I am. And so he asks questions. And this section is a wonderful, this part is a wonderful section called Yaksha Prashna. 124 questions Yudhishthira is asked by this yaksha. These questions, I mean, look, it is a whole book. If we start this, that's it. Nothing else for the rest of the yajna. Right? But I just wanted to tell you some of the wonderful questions that come here for you to get an idea. How does one attain greatness? Greatness is attained through austerity. How does one double one's strength or capability? Yudhishthira says, by fortitude. How does one become intelligent? Yudhishthira says, by serving the elderly. Like this, question after question he is asked and question after question he answers. Which is the best of all gains? He says, health. Which is the best kind of happiness? Contentment. Like this, on and on and on. Questions about all kinds of things. It is a life-transforming guide, actually, and it is meant to be studied on its own. But anyways, at the end of all of this, the yaksha is very pleased. And he says, okay, I'm so pleased. I give you a wish. He says, ask for any one of your brothers to come back to life. You have 4 brothers. They're all dead. And you have to choose one. Which one will you choose? So he thinks. And he says, okay, I would like you to bring Nakula back to life. And this Yaksha says, why Nakula? Look how powerful Bhima is. He has the power of 8,000 elephants. Why didn't you choose him? Look at Arjuna. He's the most powerful warrior ever. Why didn't you choose him? And Yudhishthira said, look, I have 2 mothers, Kunti and Madri. One son of Kunti is alive. That is me. Well, for my other mother's sake, one of her children should be alive. And that is why I chose Nakula. And this Yaksha said, I am so pleased with you. And he says, and Yudhishthira says, but you're not a Yaksha. Tell me who you are. And he says, actually, I am Dharmaraj. I am your father, Dharmaraj. And he said, I am so pleased with you. And he said, you know, you have already conquered my kingdom, which is Dharma. You have already conquered the kingdom of righteousness. And he said, you are clothed in the armor of Dharma. Nothing will happen to you. Ask for a boon. And now remember, Yudhishthira is about to fight a big Mahabharata war with the Kauravas. His brothers are still laying, oh no, he said, I'm so pleased with you, and he brought back all his brothers to life, right? So the brothers are all back to life now. And then he says, ask for a boon. What boon will you ask if you have a war coming up? Yudhishthira asks for a boon. He says, I want victory in my fight over my 6 deadliest enemies. What are my deadliest enemies? Lust, anger, greed, possessiveness, arrogance, and envy. This is the boon that I want. See the character of Yudhishthira and see his firmness to Dharma. And his father, Dharmaraj, says, Dharmaraj is Yamaraj, you know that? Yamaraj, Lord of Death. Lord of Death and Lord of Dharma are the same. Because it is only when death is facing you that you actually start to think what is right and wrong. Anyways, he says you already have this. And he ends by reminding Yudhishthira that where there is Dharma, there is certainly victory. You know, while they were in the forest, Bhima was very, very, very angry with Yudhishthira for holding on to Dharma so tightly. This Dharma of yours, look where it has landed up. We're in the forest, we're in exile, they have the kingdom, they have everything. This Dharma of yours, forget it, let us go and attack them. But he doesn't realize it is because of Yudhishthira's Dharma, they are still alive. He was poisoned, Bhima was poisoned as a child. It was because of Dharma that he survived. It was because of Dharma they were saved from being burned. It was because of Dharma he was saved from being killed by a serpent. We saw that yesterday. It was because of Dharma that they are going to be protected for the next year incognito. It is because they are standing on Dharma that they are protected. But Dharma is not easy, and we don't have the conviction that Dharma will bless us irrespective. Is it not? You'll hear people in the corporate world saying, but everybody cheats, so for me to be successful, I have to cheat too. That is not the law of Dharma. The law of Dharma is that where there is Dharma, there only there will be victory. And we cannot gain this conviction by looking at the world. We gain this conviction by studying Ramayana, by studying Mahabharata, like that. Right? Now, why is it that the Pandavas had to go through all this? They were very happy in their kingdom called Indraprastha. They were far away from the Kauravas and everything was going well. Right? So, why is it that this happened? Well, it is because the Kauravas were still alive that it happened. And what this means for us is, unless our negativities are completely obliterated, they always have a chance to come and trouble us. And that is how Duryodhana and his brothers came to trouble them. Now, why 12 years? Why banished for 12 years? Because in our spiritual journey, at some point when we have to intensify our spiritual practices, we have to do it for a long period of time. Things take time to take root. You know, like it takes so many years before a seed becomes a tree that actually bears fruit, isn't it? Well, in the same way, when we start our sadhana, everyone starts, oh God, I have to wake up and I have to do japa, I have to do puja. You have to do it long enough that it turns from, oh God, I have to do it, to I want to do it. And it is only when you do it for a long enough period that you develop a love for it and it starts to bless you. So they had to do it, this sadhana, for a long period of time. Now, the 13th year of incognito, why did they have to go incognito? That is also very instructive. It is because when we are reaching the peak of our sadhana, when the tapas starts to bear fruit, we have to remove our ego completely. There has to be no individual identity remaining. If our ego is not completely removed, not completely obliterated, then what will happen? If they're discovered in the 13th year, they have to go and start that cycle all over again. So in our spiritual practice, if we do not completely remove our ego, we have to go back and do more tapas until we can actually reach the point where our ego is completely removed. So this is the symbolism of why they had to go through it from a seeker's point of view. Okay, now we enter a section called the Virata Parva. The 13th year has begun. And Yudhishthira thanks all the Brahmanas who spent time with them over the 12 years. And with great, it's an emotional scene, and they bid farewell to all of them. And they say, now we have to go into hiding. When they go into hiding, nobody can know where they are or what they are doing, except their guru. If you read the Mahabharata, you see that their guru is the one who gives them guidance on where they should go. And their guru is the only one apart from them who knows where they are. The presence of the guru in our life is indescribable. And it is the guru who has to guide us on this final journey where we remove our ego. Okay, so now, secretly with their guru, they decide that they're going to go to this kingdom called Virat, the kingdom of a king called Virat. So they're going to go to Virata Nagari. And what are they going to do when they are there? They have a long discussion and they explain why each of them will do and all of that. But very briefly, Yudhishthira decides that he's going to go and become the advisor and friend of the king and teach him how to play dice. He got really good at playing dice in the forest. Bhima, who loved to eat food, he wasn't only good at eating food, he was also really good at cooking. And so he said, I'm going to go and be the cook in this nagar. And because he's so big and powerful, he had to be somewhere where he's not seen easily. So he hid in the kitchen, right? But he was also so powerful, they said, you don't look like a cook, you look like a wrestler. And he said, yes, I'm also a wrestler and I can train your upcoming wrestlers, you know? So Bhima did that. Arjuna had gotten a curse when he had gone to Swarga, that he would have to live 1 year of his life as a eunuch, like a half woman, half man. And so he said, I'm going to become a eunuch for this 1 year, Prahanala, and I'm going to go and teach dancing and singing to the princess in this kingdom. And then Nakula and Sahadev decided to take care of the horses and the cattle in the kingdom. And so like this, one by one, they enter this Nagar, and they ask the king, and he's very happy to get such wonderful people, and he accepts them all. Draupadi becomes the beautician of the queen in the kingdom. And so now they're all in the same kingdom, but they cannot meet each other, they cannot talk to each other, they cannot interact with each other because nobody can know they know each other, right? So Draupadi, now see, the interesting thing is, they all knew their talents and their hobbies. And it is based on what they were good at, based on their hobbies, based on their talents, they chose what to do for this 1 year. Do you know your hobbies and your talents and your strengths? It's very interesting. Anyways, now these Pandavas cannot be seen with their weapons. They have really, really, really powerful weapons. And so their weapons are more dear to them than any possible thing that we own today that is dear to us. And so with great reverence, they pack all their weapons and they hide it in a tree near this kingdom. And they pray to the Devatas, to take care of their weapons during this 1 year. And Yudhishthira, as he's invoking the Devatas, he's like, please don't release these weapons to anybody else except myself and Arjuna. Don't even let Bhima come and take it. My brother Bhima, he's so short-tempered, he could just get angry and come and get the weapons and go and fight the Kauravas one day without my permission. Right? So anyways, they invoke the Devatas to keep the weapons safe. And like this now, they enter the court, the kingdom of Virat. And it is written over and over again, they were very happy. In this 1 year, they were very, very happy. They were the happiest they had been in a very, very long time. And so now this Draupadi, she became they all got their own names. Draupadi became Sairandri. And she was so beautiful that when she went and the queen saw her, the queen said, why is it that you are alone? You don't look like you should be alone. And she said, actually, I have 5 Gandharva husbands, 5 celestial husbands, but they're under a curse right now, and I'm waiting for their curse to finish, and I'm looking for some work. And that is when the queen says, you work for me. And the queen says to her, but you're so beautiful, I'm worried that if the king sees you, he's going to want you. And Draupadi said, if that happens, my Gandharva husbands are going to come and kill that person. Right? She gives the queen a warning. And the queen says, and so she says, I will just remain in your inner chamber. I will not go anywhere. And the queen says, you look like a queen. Anytime that you want, you feel free to go into my royal garden and, to be with your thoughts and all of that. And so like this, all of them were working there, but they all felt so loved, and it was so different from what they had been used to all this time. 10 months passed. It was the happiest year of their life. Draupadi was treated almost like a queen, right? But now one day, the queen's brother comes. I don't know what's up with the queen's brothers. Queen's brother caused trouble there means the Mamu in Duryodhana's case caused trouble. Here again, queen's brother has come to cause trouble. His name was Kichaka. And he saw Draupadi one day. And he thought she was so beautiful that she deserved to be only with him. And he approaches her. And she warns him that if you come near me, you will die. So don't. Forget about this and go away. Don't even. But he goes to his sister. And he tells his sister, I need to have this Draupadi, this Sairandri. I need to have her. I need to have her. And his sister, people out of attachment, they do all crazy things. So Draupadi, whose name is Sairandri, is helplessly against her will sent to go and pick up wine from this Kichaka in his chambers. And he tries to approach her, and she pushes him, and she runs to the court of the king for help. The king is a chicken. He's a coward because Kichaka is so strong, right? And he doesn't help her. Yudhishthira is there, Bhima is there, and they both are helpless because if they do anything, their cover will be revealed. And there are only 15 more days for this term to finish, their incognito term. But now, Bhima is about to get up and fight with this Kichaka, and Yudhishthira with eyes tells him, stop. 15 more days. Draupadi gets really angry. She's so angry now with Yudhishthira also. She secretly goes to Bhima at night and she tells Bhima, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to drink poison. I can't do this anymore. And so Bhima is emotionally blackmailed by Draupadi to do something immediately. And so Bhima says, okay, you tell this guy to come to this Nritya Shala, this new dance hall, and I will go and meet him. And so the next day, Draupadi invites him to come to this dance hall, and she says, I will meet you there at night. Don't tell anybody and don't bring anybody. But when he goes there, Bhima gives him the thrashing of his life. Kichaka is so strong, there are only 4 people who can defeat him, and Bhima is one of them. And so Bhima, with all his strength, he doesn't just kill Kichaka, he turns him into a lump of flesh. Literally, he disfigures him until he's just a lump of flesh. Anger that Bhima had for all those years, he takes it out on this person, right? And then Bhima runs and hides. Like nothing happened. At this time, Draupadi calls the guards and she says, come and look. what this man was trying to do to me? My Gandharva husbands came, and look at what they have done. To try to cover up Bhim, she says, my Gandharva husbands came and killed him. Well, you wonder, then the brothers of this Kichaka find out that Draupadi is the cause of his death, and they want to put her on the funeral pyre. But Bhima kills all of them too and saves her. Now at this time, the king and queen are really afraid of Draupadi. And they're like, it is because of you that all of this has happened, and they want to send her away. And she says, please, there's just 2 more weeks left. Just let me be here for 2 more weeks. And they consent and they say, okay. You may wonder why this keeps happening. It shows the danger of beauty on one side, and on the other side, it shows the reality of the power of lust and the disgusting extent to which things happen. Do we not see things like that happen in today's day and age with all modern technology and development and everything? Mahabharata shows life as it is. And this is one of the sad realities that we face in life. Okay, anyways, now the 13th year is almost up. A few more days remaining. Duryodhana in the palace is starting to panic because his plan was to find them in the 13th year and send them back into the forest for the next 12 years and let the loop continue forever. He has no intention to return the kingdom to them. And so his spies have been going everywhere, and the spies come and tell him, it seems that the Pandavas are dead because we can't find them. But we do have some exciting news for you. This Kichaka got killed by some Gandharvas. And Duryodhana thinks, well, Dronacharya, the guru who taught all of them warfare, he helplessly blurts out, but the Pandavas cannot be dead. You just leave them alone. They're going to come back. When they come back, you give them back their kingdom. Well, Duryodhana has no intention to do that. Bhishma, their grandfather, says again to him, listen, you're going to be given a second chance. Follow dharma. Where there is dharma, there is victory. But Duryodhana ignores them. Bhishma even gives Duryodhana a clue about where they might be. He says, in very, very extensively beautiful verses, he describes that wherever Yudhishthira is there, that place will prosper. Everyone around him will be honest. There will be purity. There will be, he describes the power of the presence of somebody who follows dharma. And he tells him, let the feud end. And at this time, Duryodhana says, I can never give up my hatred for these Pandavas. I will make sure they never return, and I will make sure to send them back to the forest. And his other guru, Kripacharya, tells him, you have decided to commit suicide, it looks like. So go and find your allies now, because the Pandavas are not going to spare you your life. Anyways, Duryodhana is sitting and thinking, and he realizes that it must be Bhima who killed Kichaka, because nobody else is so powerful, and the description of the person that he wanted who had 5 Gandharva husbands, he said, that sounds like Draupadi. And so he says, okay, we're going to attack this Virat Nagari, and we're going to smoke out these rats out of their rat holes. These are his words. And so they make a plot, and they decide to steal the cattle from this Virata Nagari. And they say these Pandavas are so noble that if the king is in trouble, if the kingdom is in trouble, they will forget about their hiding and they will come and help. And so they make a plan, and they send one of their allies who doesn't like the king of Virat to go and attack him on one day. And they say, you go and steal the cows, and he's going to come and use his whole army to fight with you. And then the next day, we're going to attack them from the other side, unexpectedly. So this is their plan. And so on day 1, the citizens come and they complain that their cattle are being stolen and their cattle are being taken away, and they need help. And so the king of Virat now, he calls his whole army and he starts to go to fight this army that has come to steal their cattle. And Yudhishthira, out of gratitude, says, you know what, I will come and fight with you. And he calls Bhima, and he calls Sahadev, and he calls Nakula, and he says, we will all come. And so they don't say who they are, but they say, we're going to come. And they all go and they help fight. And it's a big battle, but finally they win and they're successful. And the king is so grateful. He wants to just give them everything he has. He doesn't know why, he feels so grateful. Well, the next day, the kingdom is attacked from the other side. And there is no army, there is no king. There is only the prince of this kingdom. His name is Uttara Kumara. Uttara Kumara is his name. And he is there in the chambers with all the ladies, and now they get news that this place is being attacked. And he had a big ego. He used to show off about how great a warrior he is, right? So now everyone said, well, Uttara, you go and fight them. There's no one else left. And Uttara said, look, you know, the problem is I could go, I could fight them so well that everyone will think it is Arjuna who is fighting. He's so big, he was talking. He said the only problem is that I don't have a charioteer. And a warrior cannot fight without a charioteer. So I cannot fight. And so at this point, Arjuna tells Draupadi, who's also there, tell him that Brihannala can be his charioteer. And so Draupadi comes and she says, you know, this Brihannala, she has been the charioteer for so many kings. She has even been the charioteer for Arjuna. She will be a great charioteer. And so they all turn to Brihannala and he pretends, he's like, what, me? I can't go. And then finally he ends up going and being the charioteer of this Uttara Kumar. So now they go. And the Kauravas have come. Who is here? Duryodhana, his big gang of Dushasana, Karna, Shakuni, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Bhishmacharya, all big, huge warriors. So now Uttara sees these Kauravas and he starts to panic because he's just all talk, right? He's a little child only, like he's a young prince. And so as they're going and Brihannala is taking the chariot, now they see these Kauravas in front, and Uttara gets out of the chariot and starts to run away. And Arjuna is thinking, what is he doing? And so Arjuna, who is dressed as like this woman, starts to run after him. And she goes and she's like, you cannot run away. You have to come and fight. And he's like, no, I can't face them. Have you seen who they are? I can't face them. And so the Kauravas are there and they're seeing this humorous sight of this prince trying to run away and this woman running behind him trying to catch him to bring him back. And they're just watching in amusement what is happening. Anyways, Brihannala finally grabs him and says, listen, you're going to fight. And he says, I cannot fight. And so then he reveals and he says, I am Arjuna and I will fight for you and you drive the chariot. And he takes this Uttara and he tells him to help him to bring down the weapons, and he opens it and with so emotional, he takes his Gandiva bow, he does prostrations to it, he holds his Gandiva bow and he tells Uttara, you know, my hands are just itching to use this Gandiva bow now, you come and watch the fun, don't be afraid. And he puts Uttara in the front and he makes him drive the chariot, and he goes now, having saluted the Gandiva, he strings his bow and he goes to fight with the Kauravas. And he blows his conch. And Dronacharya says that is Arjuna's conch. And Bhishmacharya knows this is Arjuna. And they see this woman, half man, eunuch coming to fight them. And Dronacharya says that is Arjuna. And he realizes, why am I saying this? Like, it's going to release his cover. And Bhishma, in secret code, tells him, no. Their 13 years is finished. According to all the calculations, their year in exile has expired. They don't need to be incognito anymore. And this is why Arjuna is so bravely coming out also with his weapons and everything. So don't worry. And so Drona says, Arjuna is here. Let us go back. He's like a lion that has been captured for 13 years. There is no stopping him. We cannot fight him. We cannot win today. And Duryodhana says, stop discouraging the troops. Stop praising Arjuna. And amongst themselves, they start to bicker and they start to fight. And there's each of them insulting one another. And you can see the weakness that is there in this Kaurava army. Anyways, Bhishma tries to make peace, but Duryodhana he apologizes, but he says, no, we're going to fight. Drona says, look, the 13 years are over. We don't need to expose their cover. Give back the cattle and let us go back. And Bhishma also explains how the 13 years are over. But Duryodhana refuses to accept. He says, we are going to fight. And so, to protect him, the king, they send Duryodhana away with the cattle, and the rest of them line up now to fight. Arjuna reaches, and Arjuna has style. You want to see style? Arjuna takes his arrows, and the first thing he does is he sends 2 arrows each to Bhishma, to Drona, and to Kripacharya, as if doing pranams to them. Then he sends 2 arrows each right past their ears, as though asking permission to fight with them. See, Arjuna? And then he starts to fight. And he realizes Duryodhana is not there. So he says, leave these people, let's go after Duryodhana. And so he goes and he's defeating Duryodhana, and these people realize he's gone after Duryodhana. So they all come there. Effortlessly, Arjuna fights with all of them. Karna, who said big talk, oh my god, I am going to defeat this Arjuna, who does he think he is? He ran away from the battlefield. Finally, Arjuna uses this weapon that puts all of them unconscious. And then he tells Uttara, Kumar, the king, the prince, go and collect all of their silk cloths that they're wearing. Because the princess had told him, when you go, bring me back some silk cloths from the Kauravas. And so Arjuna says, don't go to Bhishma, Pitamaha. This spell doesn't work on him. Go to the rest and pick up their cloths and come. And so Uttara goes and he picks up all their cloths and he comes. Well, then he salutes Bhishma, he does his pranams, he sends arrows to take leave of all the elders, he sends an arrow to kick off the crown from Duryodhana, and then he goes back. And he tells Uttara, do not tell anybody who I am. And they go and they return their weapons. And at this point, Uttara is just like, imagine he's met the greatest hero of all times. He has no words. He's just in a trance, in like a, how you meet your favorite star and you can't say anything to them? Imagine like that. Now, see this interesting thing. Arjuna fought this battle and single-handedly defeated Bhishma, Drona, Duryodhana, Karna, Kripa, all these big guys, right? He has to fight these same people when it comes to the Mahabharata war. Same people. But at that time he's more powerful. And at that time, he can't fight. You see how the conditions change and all? We'll see what changed. But anyways, my time is finished. Okay, I'll tell you, we'll pause here. I'll tell a few announcements and then we'll do closing prayers. We have to see now tomorrow. Now they go back and everyone is going to think that it is this prince who defeated this huge Kaurava army. And he's feeling so embarrassed because he knows forget not doing anything, he was going to run away, right? And how is he going to take praise for something he hasn't done, knowing that this most wonderful Arjuna is in front of him and it's all the Pandavas have been living with them for so many months and they're so glorious and he's a nothing. And it's very interesting how it plays out tomorrow. Tomorrow, the Pandavas are going to officially come out of their 13th year of incognito, and we're going to see how things take a big turn. Tomorrow is negotiation day. Now it only gets more and more dramatic and more exciting. We're getting closer and closer to the actual war. Okay? So a very special thank you to Pandit Sham and everyone at the Mandir here for hosting this 8th night of the Mahabharata. It is an opportunity for us across Guyana to reflect on this great scripture that brings us face to face with the consequences of our actions and inspires us to build the kind of conviction that where there is dharma, there is indeed victory. Even though the world feels otherwise, really, That is the reality of the situation. Okay, I'll share a couple of announcements. Chinmay Mission, we're here in Guyana for a couple of years now. Chinmay Mission is a teaching organization. We teach everything to do with Sanatana Dharma. We teach how to chant Bhagavad Gita, we teach the meaning of Bhagavad Gita, we teach Ramayana, we teach Pandit course, we teach children, we teach adults, we teach youth, anything to do with teaching. It doesn't matter how old, it doesn't matter what. Chinmay Mission's specialty is in teaching the Shastras based on the age of the people and the interest of the people. We have classes online, we have camps and yajnas across the country also. If this is something you're interested in, then please do check our Facebook page and see how you'd like to join. It will be wonderful to see you all again. We're also going to be teaching how to chant Bhagavad Gita chapter 12. When you chant it, it becomes close to you. And when it becomes close to you, it reveals its secrets to you. So if anybody is interested in learning how to chant Bhagavad Gita chapter 12 properly, we will train you. You will need half an hour 2 times a week from October to December. Then from January to April, we will put you to teach other people. So October to December, we will be training teachers. And then from January to April, we will be training everybody else. If you're interested and you have the time, please do let me know and I will give you further details. Okay. We have books outside, so many wonderful books. This is about how Ganesha is not satiated. He goes to Kubera's party and he eats all of Kubera's food and his pots and pans and everything also. And it looks like he's going to eat Kubera's house and Kubera himself. And Kubera asks for help from Lord Shiva. You see how he gets saved. There's books on Sanskrit also if someone wants to learn Sanskrit. We're doing Sanskrit class. There's a series on YouTube if you want to learn. But if you prefer books, that is also there. This book is my favorite. Hindu Culture. An introduction to Hindu culture in the most simple and yet deep way. Any question you have, 90% probability it will be answered about Hindu culture in this book, right? Then Navratri is coming, if you're interested, Glory of Mother, there's Glory of Krishna, like that. And Pitru Paksha is going on. We have a conversation, a dialogue with death, where Nachiketas goes to Yamaraj and has a conversation with him. What happens after death and all. Very interesting. Okay, cool. So please feel free to check out the books outside after. Okay. We'll do Aarti and closing. Okay. Please stand for Aarti. We'll do Bhagavad Gita Aarti.
Hare
ध्वजः मङ्गलं पुण्डरीकाक्षं मङ्गलायतनो हरिः त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ श्री कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय हर हर नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव हरि ओम।